6:15, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Anjana Donamgoda, read by Soundithavam. The President, addressing Parliament today, announced that plans are underway to reduce the value-added tax. The Prime Minister detailed the recent salary hikes of those employed at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka to join US-led international counter-ransomware initiative. A plan is underway to cultivate 45,000 king coconut plants in 86 villages. In foreign news, the US now pushes UN to back immediate Gaza ceasefire to free hostages. In sports, it's rugby. The Police Sports Club record a stunning 40-16 win over CR and FC. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, addressing Parliament today, announced that plans are underway to reduce the value-added tax in the future. As such, school exercise books, stationery items, medicines and medical equipment are planned to be exempted from the VAT. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has asserted that the nation's economy is experiencing robust growth as a result of the government's initiatives. According to the President's media division, consequently the President pledged further assistance to the people in the future. Stressing the methodical and scientific execution of these endeavours, the President emphasised his commitment to truthfulness over political gain. He clarified that his current endeavours are dedicated to national reconstruction rather than personal power accumulation. Addressing Parliament today, President Wickremesinghe lamented the tendency of certain political factions to prioritise rhetoric over tangible solutions. He argued that the intricacies of the country's economic challenges defy simplistic remedies, urging those versed in economic matters to acknowledge this reality. With the government's strategy yielding tangible results, he urged swift legislative action to cement these gains, signalling the forthcoming submission of the Economic Reforms Act. In conclusion, President Wickremesinghe urged a collective decision on whether to persist with the current trajectory, which promises economic revitalization, or risk regression to the dire circumstances of 18 months prior. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena detailed the recent salary hikes of those employed at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Responding to a question raised by the Samagi Jana Balawege MP S.M. Marika in Parliament this morning, the Premier provided a detailed explanation of the amounts and percentages by which the salaries were increased by for each position within the CBSL, emphasising that these facts were made easily accessible to the public. Recent media reports revealed that the CBSL had increased the salaries of its employees by 70%, and the move was heavily criticised by parliamentarians of both the ruling party and the opposition, following which the CBSL officials were summoned before the Cabinet, party leaders' meeting and the Committee on Public Finance. The government said Sri Lanka has received an invitation to join the inaugural International Counter-Ransomware Initiative, which the United States has started as a common platform in 2021 with a group of other countries for international coordination to eliminate ransomware. So far, 48 countries around the world and the European Union, as well as the international police, have joined the initiative. Since Sri Lanka has recently faced various problems due to ransomware, it has been recognized that it can benefit from joining the International Counter-Ransomware Initiative, the Government Information Department said. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved the joint proposal presented by the President in his capacity as the Minister of Technology and the Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms to join the International Counter-Ransomware Initiative and taking further action. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Board of Coconut Cultivation has taken steps to prepare a program for the expansion of king coconut cultivation in the country. Accordingly, 86 villages have been selected as suitable for king coconut cultivation in the island, and it is special that these villages have been selected after examining the reasons for king coconut production. A huge market for king coconut in our country has been created in the international market, and Sri Lanka has the monopoly on king coconut in the international market. The reason for this is that the taste and the quality of king coconut in our country is very high. Although many countries have tried to grow king coconut, they have not been able to get the quality of king coconut in Sri Lanka. Therefore, the demand for king coconut in our country is increasing daily. A harvesting survey conducted by the Department of Agriculture has revealed that the wastage during paddy reaping has increased between 10 and 15% this Maha season, and in some areas it is about 25%. The department also said the post-harvest damage related to paddy cultivation this Maha season is at least 350,000 tons. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Sri Lanka has called for the UN Human Rights Council to halt its excessive scrutiny of nations in the global south through intrusive mechanisms while ignoring violations elsewhere to regain credibility. Sri Lanka has also expressed disappointment that the Council's president and disproportionate attention on Sri Lanka is not beneficial to the nation. Speaking at the 55th session of the Human Rights Council in Geneva, the permanent representative of Sri Lanka, Himali Subhashni Arunatilaka, underscored the urgent need for the global human rights framework to uphold objectivity and universality and ensure that alleged violations are addressed impartially, regardless of the size or the influence of the country concerned. That came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
On to Watchlight, the Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Palitha Mahipalas, said nearly 5% of Sri Lanka's population is currently suffering from glaucoma. Glaucoma is one of the main causes of blindness in the world. He further said that there is a significant rise in glaucoma cases not only in Sri Lanka but also across the world. The Health Secretary further said, as a whole in the world, 3.54% are suffering from glaucoma, but if you take Sri Lanka, it's almost present. This may also be because of our increased elderly population. Doctors further urged the public to do regular eye checks and make use of the programs in place within the country's health system to detect eye diseases early, and came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Making headlines this evening, the US now pushes UN to back immediate Gaza ceasefire to free hostages. Russian drone attack on Ukraine hits infrastructure, injures 7. Facebook and Instagram restored after major outages. The United States on Tuesday revised language in a draft United Nations Security Council resolution to back an immediate ceasefire of roughly 6 weeks in Gaza, together with the release of all hostages, according to the text seen by Reuters. The third revision of the text, first proposed by the US 2 weeks ago, now reflects blunt remarks by Vice President Kamala Harris. This initial US draft has shown support for a temporary ceasefire in the Hamas-Israel war. The US wants any Security Council support for a ceasefire to be linked to the release of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. Hamas attacked Israel on the 7th of October, killing 1,200 people and taking 253 hostages, according to Israeli tallies. Russia carried out an overnight drone attack on Ukrainian regions on Wednesday, hitting power infrastructure, damaging residential and commercial buildings, and injuring at least 7 people, officials said. Ukrainian air defenses shot down 38 of 42 Russian drones over 8 regions across the country, the Air Force said. It is one of the largest Russian drone attacks on Ukraine in the past several weeks. Meta says it has resolved a technical issue which caused Facebook, Messenger and Instagram to go down. Hundreds of thousands of users worldwide were unable to access them for around 2 hours on Tuesday. People trying to log onto the websites and apps were finding error messages and were unable to refresh their feeds as normal. Meta has also apologized to those who had been affected, saying it resolved the problem as quickly as it could. Tracking website Down Detector indicated the outages had affected multiple countries. Meta's platforms are some of the most popular in the world. Facebook has 3 billion active monthly users, while Instagram is expected to hit 1.4 billion worldwide later this year. Threads, its rival to Twitter, that was launched in 2023, also reported outages. WhatsApp, which Meta also owns, was unaffected. Back to the headlines of the world news. The US now pushes UN to back immediate Gaza ceasefire to free hostages. Russian drone attack on Ukraine hits infrastructure and injures 7. Facebook and Instagram restored after major outages. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
Development news.
The Export Development Board organized Sri Lanka's participation in the 30th edition of the Dubai International Boat Show, which took place in Dubai, the UAE, from February 28 to the 3rd of March 2024, with the help of the Sri Lanka Embassy and the Consulate General in Dubai. The boat and shipbuilding sector has been identified as an emerging export sector which offers a wide variety of products and services to the international market. The sector uses advanced materials and technology to be on par with global counterparts aligned with sustainable manufacturing. That came to you in development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Focusing on rugby, the Police Sports Club delivered a stupendous performance, defeating the defending champions and A Division League champions CRNFC by a commanding score 40-16 in the Nippon Paint Clifford Cup knockout tournament first semi-final played at the racecourse grounds in Colombo yesterday after taking the lead at 23-16 during the half-time break. The match saw the Police SC scoring 3 goals, 2 tries, 2 penalties and 1 drop goal, while CRNFC managed 2 tries and 2 penalties. Prince Chamara, the place kicker for the Police, was recognized as the player of the match for his exceptional contributions to the team's success. That came to you in sports news. We take a look at business news next.
Go ekakthiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyamata set wenna aswahagena dakapuhina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekata menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Consolidating its legacy as a cornerstone of the nation's banking system, Sri Lanka's premier private sector bank, HNB plc, celebrated its 135th year of supporting customers and businesses to achieve their financial goals with the release of a commemorative stamp. Commenting on the historic occasion, HNB Managing Director CEO Jonathan Allis said, "Since our inception, HNB has recognized that our true strength lies not only in our financial prowess, but also in the people we serve, from budding savers to thriving SMEs. Initiatives like Gamin Pubudua exemplify our commitment to embedding ourselves within communities, fostering relationships based on continuous progress and shared prosperity." That's economic news. That's business news, and we take a look at economic news next.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakthiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyamata set wenna aswahagena dakapuhina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekata menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news, President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced in Parliament today that the government intends to reduce the value-added tax in the future. President Wickremesinghe stated that school exercise books, stationery items, medicines and medical equipment are planned to be exempted from VAT. That came to you in economic news.
Weather report.
Showers may occur at a few places in the southern province, also in the Ratnapura and Kalutara districts in the evening or night. Mainly dry weather will prevail in the other areas of the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western and Sabaragama provinces, also in the Gaul and Martara districts during the morning. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The President addressing Parliament today announced that plans are underway to reduce the value-added tax. The Prime Minister detailed the recent salary hikes of those employed at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka to join the US-led International Counter-Ransomware Initiative. A plan is underway to cultivate 45,000 king coconut plants in 86 villages. The US now pushes the UN to back immediate Gaza ceasefire to free hostages. And the Police Sports Club record a stunning 40-16 win over CR and FC. With that, we conclude this evening's news broadcast.